Bob had that spirit, you could tell, that leader, that explorer. You can just see the gleam in his eye, you know, and you'd follow him. I mean, we went on a 500-mile canoe trip through Canada just blind. And we followed him. I mean, like, for instance, one day the wind was blowing in a certain direction across this huge lake, and the waves were going to trash the boat. So we got behind an island, catamaran these canoes together, took our space blankets, put them on poles, trees, and we sailed this lake, this 60-mile lake, in like 3 or 4 hours. It's like a bunch of Vikings. And Bob said, well, let's do this. And it's like, yeah, okay, it worked. I mean, it's just that spirit, you know. You could just tell he was, let's go this way. All right, let's go. We can do it. The way I got to meet him was through my mathematics physics teacher my senior year. Now, I wasn't doing real well there, and he called me out into the hallway and said, would I like a summer job? Well, that sort of sounded like a trick question to me. Of course I would have to say yes. And little did I know, next thing I know, I was driving out to Fort Ancient, Ohio at 6 a.m. in the morning to meet Bob. And that's where it really started. And I was their first employee for their canoe livery, and then found the dream of what Bob wanted to do. And Bob's explorer nature wanted to see the lower New River and the bad in the lower New River. It was something like, let's go to the unknown, let's do it, you know. So the next year we came down with Bob Lynn and Millie, June Morgan and Bob Morgan, and Dirk Morgan. Well, if you can imagine, the inner tubes were like the meat of a sandwich. And there was a frame on top, made basically out of oak flooring, bolted together with 5/16-inch bolts, and then ropes off of that going through the center of these inner tubes to a larger diameter piece of wood. So the tubes were sandwiched between the two pieces of wood, the frame on top and this circular piece on bottom, the first self-bailing raft, if you will. So then we lashed it together, it was hinged in the center, oars in the center, and away we went. Yeah, this will work in whitewater. Can you imagine? Yeah, we found a turkey feather. So that's how we named the raft. Dirk found it. We said, this is the Turkey Raft. It's got to be. And then on down the New River we went. It actually performed very well. I mean, it didn't take water in, you know, self-bailing. It was very comfortable because the tubes were such large diameter. Two of us paddled in front, myself, front left, and Jim Jones. Don't know whether he was the real one, but anyway, front right. And then there was Bob Lynn in the back, and then another guy named Jim, Little Jim, I think, and then Bob Morgan in the center. Of course, Bob Morgan, being a big guy, booming voice, you know, we did what he requested. And we were on fairly low water, so yeah, it moved pretty well through the rapids. Now through the pools, it was a dog, but in the rapids, hey, you know, with all the two guys paddle up front, two guys in the back, and you know, Bob in the center spinning that thing, we could put it anywhere we wanted, really. And we thought, well, we've got this. This is no big deal. And we went on downstream to the Kenneys, and you know, here's huge Whale Rock, and you couldn't see beyond it. So we got out to scout, and Bob Lynn said, oh, this is a great place for my 8mm setup. So he did, and away we went, and we hit what we call Moss Rock, I guess. Great flip, pin, the whole 9 yards. The whole thing came apart. You know, we had a World War II Army demolition pack that had all of our maps, topographic maps, etc., etc., etc. And there we stuck, you know. So what do we do now? Is everybody okay? You know, signal back and forth. Well, I was front left, went underwater, but clung to the frame. And then when I came back up, found myself hanging on the frame in a rapid, actually Middle Keeney, and you know, I saw Bob Morgan flush by me and Little Jim, and I said, man, I'm gonna hang with this one, and I'm not gonna swim this thing because my feet were dangling down pretty deep. So we climbed on top of this thing. How I got there, I do not know, but I still had my knife with me. So I said, well, I'm gonna cut myself loose, and Jim said, yeah, let's cut ourselves loose and float out. So that's what we did. I pulled out the 9-inch knife, and we floated to the right hand side of Middle Keeney. Crazy. Well, the frame is there somewhere still in the World War II pack. But we cut a tree down, you know, a 3-inch diameter tree about 12 feet long, and put it through the tube, and down the tracks we walked, the tube bouncing on our shoulders all the way to Fayette Station. It showed us coming into camp, all smiles, Conqueror, the explorers made it. Well, Bob Morgan wanted to, and actually bought, 2 Army surplus bridge pontoon rafts, if you will. But he decided, because he had the 5 guys, 5 sons, and he wanted to concentrate on canoe livery. So he sold me the 2 rafts for $1,500, which I borrowed from my parents. And my mom wouldn't talk to me. My dad, I graduated from Ohio State University with agricultural economics degree, and I was supposed to use that, right? No. I got bit by the bug, loved whitewater, why I don't know, but did, and got Bob Morgan's vision, and bought the rafts, and that's, Bob helped for sure, absolutely, and that's, his spirit, his exploring, his pioneering. I got the bug and took off from there.